Hi, and welcome to Lesson 3. My name is Darren Tay, and in Lesson 3, I'm going to share with you how you can pitch a product or service effectively. Now, previously, we talked about how you can pitch and promote yourself. Now we want to talk about how you can pitch and promote a product or a service effectively. Now, can you use it to promote an individual? Well, of course you can, with some suitable modifications. Now, how do you pitch a product and a service? We want to share with you something called Monroe's Motivated Sequence, ANSVA. Of course, we have modified some of the techniques and the nuances involved for each of the letters. So let me unpack them for you. In this particular video, Lesson 3, we're going to talk about the first letter, A, in the ANSVA framework. So the letter A, attention. How do you grab attention in a pitch? If you've seen, for example, TV shows, whether it's Shark Tank, Dragon's Den, they have different ways of grabbing audience members' attention. If you've taken a look at perhaps accelerator programs, incubator labs, how young founders and startups, they pitch before VCs and their investors. How do we grab their attention? There are many different ways to grab attention as well. If you have seen a professional speaker speaking on stage, or perhaps someone speaking in front of a camera, how did this particular person grab the audience attention? So in today's video, I want to share with you 4 different ways that you can grab the audience member's attention. And this can be whether you're speaking in front of a camera or speaking live in person on site. First, let's talk about the attention grabber number 1. That is using the framework called A plus B minus C. So what exactly is A plus B minus C? Now, A is something that your audience want. Take, for example, your audience may want to get six-pack abs, visible six-pack abs. Your audience may want to be financially free and have passive income of perhaps $5,000 to $6,000 per month. Your audience may want to get straight A's for exams. Now, your audience may want to feel a greater sense of peace and happiness. Your audience may want to know how to better make use of the time so that you can better manage work and life balances. So that's A, what your audience want. At the start of the presentation, you mentioned that. For instance, you could say, in my presentation today, I'm going to share with you exactly how you can get visible six-pack abs. That's A. Now, plus B, what does it mean by B? Why do you add it with A? B stands for time factor. Now, anything that we mention for A, well, we would say that it's relative to time. If I were to say that I'm going to share with you in my presentation how you can get six-pack abs in 30 years, you'd be thinking 30 years, I might as well do it myself. Why do I need to learn from you, watch your video, sign up for your training program? But of course, it must be realistic. So for instance, I could say in my presentation today, I will share with you A, how you can get visible six-pack abs, B, within just 3 months. So that it's the plus time factor. Now, minus C, what does C stand for? C stands for something that the audience members dislike, the audience members hate. So if I were to put it together, I could say, in my presentation today, I will share with you how you can get visible six-pack abs within 3 months without having to go on an extreme diet that's just not sustainable in the long run. You're not going to eat one particular pea or one egg that's going to last you for the rest of the day. No, that's not sustainable, not something that you're going to do for the rest of your life, right? So that is A plus B minus C, attention grabber 1. Attention grabber 2 is to make use of questions. So when you make use of questions, you actually help the audience members to tune in and reflect. And a reflective audience is an attentive audience. So there are 2 different kinds of questions. The first one is what we call an audience survey. Have you seen it before? Where speakers say, show of hands please, how many of you seen a labubu? And then they do this. So that is called an audience survey. So if you were to execute an audience survey well, remember, finish the question first before you raise your hand fully. For example, you could say, show of hands, how many of you have been to Bangkok, Thailand? Then up. Finish the question, then raise hand fully. Instead of raising your hand in the middle, show of hands, how many of you have been to Bangkok, Thailand? That would be sending mixed signals. The audience will be thinking, should I raise my hand at the end or should I raise my hand in the middle? So finish the question, then raise hand fully. That is for audience survey. Now, the other kind of question is called a rhetorical question, where you don't necessarily need the audience to reply verbally or physically, like raising of their hands or their feet, but you want them to actually reflect mentally. And again, because when they reflect mentally, just for that few seconds, they are with you, they are focused on what you are saying. For example, if you're in a board meeting, you could say, now before we start off this presentation, let's perhaps consider when was the last time you really thought hard about saving cost, cutting cost in this particular company. So different people have different answers. Some could say, oh, well, that was last year for me. Some people could say it was yesterday. Some people could say it was 3 months ago. So it is a question that gets the audience to reflect, and the moment the audience reflect, they are attentive. So that is using audience survey and rhetorical question. The third way to grab audience attention is by making use of quotation. So if you make use of quotation, remember these three things: time, place, and manner. So time refers to when was that particular quote. If you were to quote from the Department of Statistics in Singapore, how many % of people actually spend $5,000 per month? I'm just using that as an example. I'm not saying that it's available on that portal, but if you were to quote a statistic somewhere from the Straits Times perhaps, or from The Economist, then remember to share with us when was it published, so people know how recent that particular statistic or that piece of data is. That's time. Place refers to where did you get it from? Is it from a newspaper article? Is it from an academic journal? Is it from a government publication? The place. And then finally, manner. Manner refers to how was that particular survey conducted. For example, you could say 50% of people waste more than 5 liters of water every single day, and this was a survey that was done out of 1,000 households. Then we know that. The final attention grabber is to make use of a story. So when you use a story, it could be a personal story, it could be another person's story, it could be a fictional story. Stories help you to capture the information and package it in a way that is easier for the audience members to understand. So with these attention grabber techniques, you can feel free to craft your next speech.